always do that.
You have not entered any. You are in the meeting now. There are 8 participants in the meeting.
Hello folks, sound check, just verifying everyone can hear us. Everyone's muted, so you probably aren't answering.
They're probably waving at you.
Okay. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:04 PM. If everybody could stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Roll call.
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Present?
Meg Bobbin. Here. Barbara Hebert. Absent. Charles Costick.
Here.
James Coffey.
Here.
And Catherine Fulicci is present.
And just a little shout out to Councilor Hebert. It is her birthday today. So
Oh, happy birthday, Barb.
happy birthday to her. I will keep my remarks short tonight. Not really too much to report on, so we're gonna advance right into our public hearing. This meeting was originally called to order at 6:04 PM by the presiding officer at the Town Hall, Banker Road. Further notice is hereby given that the Town Board, Town of Plattsburgh, will meet and hold a public hearing onto the Town Hall located on Banker Road in the Town of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, New York, on Thursday at 6:05 PM prevailing time in relation to the proposed amendment and relocation to the rail crossing of 2491009H over the Delaware-Hudson Railroad. We will be accepting written comments into the record for the hearing and also opening from the comments from the floor. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Councilor Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Councilor Costick, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Meg Bobbin.
Yes.
Charles Costick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes. We will open the public hearing at 6:06 PM. How we are going to facilitate this is individuals in the room first, just to kind of keep it moving. I'm going to pass it over to Trevor, who is kind of playing our traffic cop with Zoom. He has a very short presentation just to make sure it gives the full context of what we're talking about, and then we will manage who is on Zoom if there are individuals that are seeking to also make a comment as well, okay? So I'll toss it over to Trevor to start it, and then we will proceed from there.
Okay, I'm gonna steal the audio so that it gets a little closer to ensure that people hear me. This is fun. Bear with me, folks, while I get the PowerPoint to work. This is how it works. Jeepers. Anyone have any entertainment in the meantime?
Oh, you're doing fine.
Let's see, we're gonna do the song and dance, here we go.
Yeah, you and me, Tom, let's do it. Now's our chance.
Nothing says entertainment like you two on Community Access TV.
Well, I see that the Governor of Virginia is doing this kind of dance.
As is the norm with most exciting public hearings, the PowerPoint went open, so bear with us, folks. This stuff used to bother me, now I'm just used to it.
Can you open it as something else?
Not from here.
Trevor, if we can't open it,
Yeah, you can move on and I can go resave it as something else. You wanna
we
move
can,
on?
we can even submit it to the record afterwards if you want to, if it's helpful.
Um,
Or do you wanna
I think
get-
it'll be really important to talk through the individual items in order to have shared knowledge of what the project is.
Okay, so what, we'll put a push pin in that for a moment. We're gonna go through the rest of, the meeting's agenda. We'll keep the public hearing open for a little bit and see if we can, get that moving forward. So, this is a work session, but there's a couple things I wanna go through. Draft material first, and then go back, to one item. The first is, you have draft minutes in your packet for next week's meeting. There is also the resolution as it relates to the adoption of the 2022 budget. Patrick has put up the PLIM, to everybody, so you should have that. And then the three additional resolutions, one is they're related to the completed assessment rules. The next is the delinquent water and wastewater bills. And then the final one is the 2022 life flight contract. Chuck, did Deborah have a chance to connect with you?
Yes, she did.
On that? So I know that last year, we had reviewed this, in some depth, and it was, generally speaking, agreed to that, the amount would go to $500, for that, item, so that is there, for consideration moving forward to next week.
These are all just regular ones that we do every year.
Yep, and then there is one item for consideration to bring to the floor tonight, and that is, a resolution related to the change order of River Street and Ampersand Drive Improvement Sidewalk Extension. Katie, would you mind reading that?
Not even a little. Whereas Luck Brothers LLC have submitted a change order request for additional paving and sidewalks for Ruger Street and Ampersand Drive improvements. And whereas Trevor Cole of the Planning and Community Development Department, Kevin Farrington of AES, and Tim Dupree, Highway Superintendent, reviewed all materials received for additional improvements of paving and sidewalk work. Therefore, be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the agreement for said services totaling $69,515. And it is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the Highway Superintendent, Planning and Community Development Department Head, and Finance Manager along with AES.
Is there a motion to open discussion?
So moved.
Wood, is there a second?
I'll second.
Bobbin? Let me just, first give a little additional context. As you all know, we are working on the, Ruger Ampersand traffic light. There was an opportunity, to extend some additional, sidewalk connectivity for this. And upon, recommendations of, Tim Dubray, our highway superintendent, along with Trevor, and because of the contingency structure that we had beforehand, we were able to do it within the scope of this. You know, when you're putting out, sidewalks, sorry, got a little foggy there for a moment, it's better to try to build out the full, and there was an opportunity. We were past the hump in which we were most concerned about the contingency, so this really fits in line with the budgetary, performance anyways. So it's really a win, for us in this particular thing. So why we're asking, you folks to vote on it tonight is so that they can continue to move this project along within the time frame that we have, because we're hoping to have, this project done, as I said before, by the Christmas, shopping season period, so.
This is a recommendation to Complete Streets Committee for a couple of years.
Yeah, it is the north and south portion. It will bring connectivity, further through, down to the city, and then it will have further, connectivity up past U First Credit Union. So, and then there's another portion of Trevor coming in, I'm gonna, hey Trevor,
Yep.
I'm picking your brain on something else. Can, we're talking about the sidewalk connectivity. Can you, off the top of your head, talk about all the points of connectivity, with this particular update?
Which project?
It's the, Ruger Street Ampersand Drive improvements from the change order that we're doing.
The Ruger Street Ampersand project will now connect all the way from the city of Plattsburgh in the area of Westwood, all the way to Treadwell's Mills at the Ruger Street Military Turnpike intersection now. The installation of the new portion of sidewalk as the change order is about 680 linear feet. And that will provide connectivity from Brody's Flea Market all the way to the Hammond Lane intersection, which has been missing for decades.
Yep.
So this will create a complete piece of connectivity
Yep.
all the way from the city of Plattsburgh, all the way to the farthest point of Ruger Street.
Thank you. Okay, so again, typically, you know, I would have pushed it to, or kept it in next week's cycle, but given that this is an active project right now, and, you know, the positive situation that we're finding ourselves in, any further discussion?
Is Kevin saying he's supposed to do it?
I will make any corrections post if necessary. All right. Seeing nothing further, can I get a roll call vote on this?
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Meg Bobbin,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes, resolution does carry. Thank you very much for your flexibility and understanding on that particular thing. Tom, you still may need to dance, so.
Oh, we're not ready yet? Gonna need some partners, we can't do that yourself.
I got your back. That's right.
It's time to try.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about it. There we go.
Yay.
Yay. Now let's see if they can do it.
Folks who have attended for the public hearing, we're still gonna proceed with that now. Supervisor Cashman, is it okay to
Yep.
begin?
We will move back to the public hearing.
All right, thanks everybody for hanging out with us while we tackled minor annoying problems. But we're glad you stayed around, we appreciate you being here. Can the folks with us via Zoom kind of confirm either a wave of a hand that you can see the screen that we're sharing? All right, thank you, Mr. Todich. I'll proceed along with the presentation on the rail crossing. So what we're conducting here today is a public hearing on the amendment and relocation of rail crossing number 249109H. On June 3rd, 2021, the town board did pass a resolution to submit a petition to the New York State DOT for that amendment. The petition for amendment and relocation of the existing crossing was submitted to the commissioner of the DOT on June 29th, 2021. And today is the public hearing on the relocation required as per New York Railroad Law, sections 90, 91, and 97. Now that we switched to a PDF, it's going to fight with me right now. So this, the location of the rail crossing is near Route 9. You can see on the left of your screen the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, obviously Lake Champlain on the right side of your screen. This rail crossing is located in close proximity to the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base fueling jetties. just zooming in to give you a better idea of the approximate location. I'll show you some areas with tax map parcels coming up soon, so you can have a better sense of that. Again, right along Lake Champlain and the jetties that we spoke about, you can see on the right of your screen. And again, just more views of the site. This is kind of an overall schematic plan of what the project entails. The Battlefield Memorial Gateway is the town waterfront project that we want to work on. It's approximately 7-acre site. The property is bisected by the railroad. The town has deeded property on both sides of the railway with access from Route 9. This is the survey map showing clearly what is the surveyed property owned by the town of Plattsburgh. Highlighted in red is a deeded easement that is the current right-of-way and also where the numbered rail crossing exists. So that is the only access for the town to get to the other side by deeded easement and over that rail crossing. So the overall project that's proposed is a large community park waterfront access area, Veterans Memorial, an area to look over historic Plattsburgh Bay and the Naval Battlefield Theater of battles of the War of 1812 and the Revolutionary War, Battle of Valcour. And this could be an interpretive historic site. This image here is important because this gives you a sense right there in the center of your screen behind that waterfront building would be the railroad tracks. This image shows you a sense of what that new alignment could look like if it no longer went the route of the easement but now crossed directly out onto those jetties. To date, the town has moved beyond conceptual plans. We've contracted with our consultant, Elon, planning and design, and we moved from the concept phase to more schematic designs that took a hard look at the existing topography, any constraints on the site, wetlands, with a full acknowledgement of a need for coordination with the New York State DOT and CP Rail and all of their partners, including Amtrak. What is not shown on these designs, in acknowledgement of the necessity of that future coordination, we have notes on these plans that design our future road and access to the point of connection and crossing with the railroad. Again, and acknowledging that we need to partner with them in what that final design would be. Again, more of the waterfront connection, identifying what happens once we cross the railroad and access the waterfront, and in a little more detail. And I kind of want to provide a recap of how we ended up getting here to the point of the rail crossing. This has been several years in the making. We've already achieved concept plan development, thematic plan development, and finally schematic plans for this site. The town has applied for a $1.4 million grant through the New York State's Consolidated Funding Application directly for improvements to Sunset Drive, and we've requested a $3.2 million grant from Senator Gillibrand specifically for the rail crossing and improvements to the waterfront. We've already received a $250,000 award from DASNY through Assemblyman Jones, and the $25,000 award from the Battlefields Protection Program, which was executed and helped develop the plans for this site. And our partners such as the American Legion and TD Bank and other folks have consistently been helping us further fundraise for this project. And with that, I would hand it over to the supervisor to
Thank you.
continue.
So that just gives you a sense, right, the petition, again, or this process is we are trying to make an improvement over the railroad tracks. At this point, I would open it for any public comment. Is there anybody in the room seeking to come forward to provide commentary. If you could come up to the microphone and just provide your name and any association that you would like to share.
I'm Joe Pondo, and I'm Clinton County Commander for the American Legion up here in Plattsburgh area. The conception of this project started off with Mr. Cashman over here, our town supervisor, and John Rock were very much instrumental in this project. We're trying to do is preserve the history of the area. I think we've got some great history here. Much of it I didn't even know until we got involved in this project. The Upper Island and Crab Island being part of this eventually down the road. With the interpretive center we plan on putting in over there, hopefully we're gonna come up with some good plans that will help preserve the memories and the history of this area. So that's pretty much where we're looking at this project, and to bring this track across, we're looking at our veterans, to move, getting them across to this area. A lot of them are in this area are elderly, so we're also looking at this as being safety to help getting them across. We're hoping to have schools doing tours over here at the same time, which will help with the safety of getting them transported across the tracks also. And that's the biggest part of why we're looking to try and move this railroad crossing over to where it'll be more accessible.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else in the room seeking to speak on the item? I was going to see if someone used the little icon tools, so I'm going to jump right in and call on Elena Tamer, who is owning the Zoom tools, if she would like to comment on it.
You're unmuted, Melena.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Hi, my name is Melina Tamer. I'm a resident of the town of Plattsburgh and a community health planner with the Clinton County Health Department. So I just wanted to state for the record that I am personally in full support of this project for a number of reasons. Number one, it will increase public access to the waterfront, which I don't believe there is any south of the city of Plattsburgh, in the town of Plattsburgh. It'll also provide additional recreation opportunities. It'll be a place for the community to gather and hold events. And most importantly, it'll be a place where people can learn about our region's history. My son is in 7th grade this year, and he came home last month on 9/11, and he told me all about the Twin Towers terrorism incident, and I asked him if he had learned about the local event that happened on 9/11, and he had no idea what I was talking about, which I thought was super sad. So I think this place could be such a great tool to educate local students, everyone, and also be a great tool for tourism. This place has the potential to attract people from all over the place and be a huge economic driver. I'm super excited to see the project completed, and I strongly urge CP Rail to consider a public rail crossing application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melina. Not knowing how familiar people are with the tools, if you'd like to speak and your video's on, if you just want to put your hand up, we'll call on you. Jared, did you want to say anything? I thought I saw your hand up earlier. Yeah.
Yes, I can say a few things here. I'm Jared Tash. I'm a landscape architect with the consulting firm of Alon that's providing services for the development of the project. We've been involved with the project from the concept on, and I think perhaps I can give some justification for the crossing. Right now, there's requirements for the crossing as far as a queuing distance and the visual connection with looking north and south of the rail. The current location does not have that because of the sharp turns that need to access that point. So the plan is great amenity for the town. It's a large area. There's the two jetties there, there's waterside access, and furthermore, there'll be potential access to Crab Island, which has a great historic significance to it. So that's the reason for the reconfiguration, to formalize it more. We are anticipating a significant number of people on occasion to cross over, further justifying the request. And the park is more than just the waterfront. There's the old historical memorial component up on the hillside. So it'll be a big generator of people, of classes, educational components. We're looking at a memorial walk for veterans. So there's a whole host of people that would be interested. We like to think would be interested and have value in visiting the site. And the access to the water is key. Water access is very limited. Making reuse of the fueling jetties from the former base, I think is a great opportunity here that we'd like to take advantage of. And I think the plans that we've developed show that it's feasible, aside from the railroad crossing point. But approaching the railroad crossing and beyond on the water side, we have a fully handicap accessible route that we spent some time developing. And so it's all in all, I think it's a well thought out plan, and I hope I've given justification to why the realignment is required, primarily to give to come into conformance with the requirements needed for a structural and legal crossing, if I may use that term.
Thank you, Jared.
Up to the standards.
Trevor, I'm going to ask you, just because I'm not sure of the interest by some of the individuals, so I'll just call them by name and I'll ask you to unmute them, and then they can just simply, they can comment or they can say pass, and we'll continue to move forward. Michael. Give us a second.
There we go.
Hi everyone, is that me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Here?
Yep.
So my name is Michael Fields, and I work for the Canadian Pacific Railway. I'm the former manager of public works for the Northeast U.S. Territory. I stayed on my side of the border. I work out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So just some history on the project here. I don't know, Ariel, just want to go first, or I can provide some technical background to it, but I don't know if Ariel had anything to start off with.
No, I'll defer to you, Mike, and I'll chime in if I feel like there's anything missing.
Okay, perfect. So we received, initial correspondence from the town of Plattsburgh back in 2018 on this proposed project. It prides itself on being number one class 1 railway in terms of safety. So that's FRA reportable incidents and injuries. In terms of crossings, there's a saying that we liken every railway administration likes, is that the safest crossing is no crossing at all. We try to restrict any new crossings at all because it's inherently a risk to both the users and the railway. There's even federal and state subsidies in line to eliminate crossings, right? That's kind of the goal. If there does need to be a crossing, then we would push for something very separate.
Yeah,
So
and this, Michael, I'm just going to try to 1 second up you off. He mentioned that there's money to be given in order to motivate grade crossings. To give you context of how this administration and Senate Democrats view that, right now you get $7,500 for each closing each crossing that is closed. They're looking to up that to $100,000. Context of the motivation to close crossings. That is a bipartisan sort of safety issue. Sorry, Michael, you can go ahead.
Sure, yeah, no, it's a great point. So back in 2018, when we did receive the first kind of back and forth with the town, one of my first requests and one of DP's first requests was a risk assessment. Everything I see and I hear from the town is representatives. By the way, it looks beautiful. The artist rendering, the architectural rendering looks beautiful. All I'm hearing is, tours, events,
No, and we want to work with the community as much as possible, but it's a pretty standard industry practice for railroads to be able to assess the risk in these types of situations. From sort of our position, when there are incidents at grade crossing, we have to deal with those incidents. The leading cause of death on the railroad are grade crossing related incidents. So, for us, risk assessments are, bathroom and they're heading out in a minute. Sorry, someone's not muted. Risk assessments are really key for us to understand what this means for the railroad and what it means for the safety of the local community.
Could I speak to that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael, and Ariel for mentioning the risk assessment. Back in 2018, after Michael mentioned that, we immediately did reach out to multiple specialists with the rail assessments and the New York State DOT at that time. We were advised adamantly not to proceed with that rail assessment until we had coordinated more with CP Rail, and we were actually advised by Al Rickleton at the time of the DOT to proceed with a petition first and then conduct the assessment as part of our petition process, knowing that beyond this public hearing and further design that would obviously be forthcoming in coordination with CP Rail, we were adamantly advised that doing a risk assessment at that point made no sense, and to proceed with this process. So that's what brought us here, to have the public hearing without a risk assessment in our hand.
That sort of begs the question for me a little bit as to why would they tell you not to do the first and most important step, right? Putting your community and folks in the community at risk seems to be obviously a priority for you not to do, I would hope, right? And the same for us, we want to keep everybody safe. Michael said we are the safest Class 1 railroad for 15 years. It is something we really pride ourselves on. I think part of the reason why they may have told you not to do a risk assessment may be linked to the fact that they know there's a lot of risk associated here. And for us, if you keep moving down the line without us being able to understand what the risk is for the railroad, it's a problem. It's a problem for us. We can't work with you until we know what this really means for the community, right? We want to work with you. We want to look at this, but I think we really need to appreciate what this means for everybody.
I will put a push pin in this, just because this is a public hearing. This isn't an exchange back and forth. Certainly noting both Michael and Eric's your positions and your thoughts. I think that the town would fully acknowledge that there's more work ahead. That's probably the best statement to be made, that there is more work ahead, and the town is prepared to work with various partners to see a successful project, both in partnership with New York State, the various businesses, federal, our federal partners, and our local veterans, which we're trying to honor. So, but there's work ahead of us. Is there anyone else seeking public comment?
And I just want to say, we agree with you. We want to work with you, and we thank you for the opportunity to be able to just sort of voice, our position, and we would love to work with you. So we're open for communication, and just let us know what you need from us to move forward. Right? We understand the importance of this.
Yep. Thank you. Duly noted.
Mike, this is John Rock. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, John. And I don't even think you need to speak to the microphone to hear you. Go ahead.
One thing that I think that we ought to touch on too, and it probably wouldn't have any bearing, but this is not a high volume crossing. This is not like your average street crossing that, is going to be placed in here. It's going to be simply basically an access for veterans to go down by the lake and maybe even fish. The majority of the traffic that's going to be in this park is going to be on the land side, the Route 9 side of the park. And this would be a tremendous
doing boat tours over there with, attached to this new park. And we've had veterans fighting in this country for 1776 right on up to now. So we've supplied veterans to the birth of this country for our freedom, right from back then to right on up to past and present. And that's what we're going to be projecting in this new park, and not only for our veterans aspect of it, but also for our educational aspect for their school children and any other people coming into the area. This area is so rich in history, and this park would provide the knowledge and the concepts and everything else that this needs. So if there's any way that we could, coordinate a public meeting and probably eye to eye, all sit down and really talk this over in a sensible manner, I think it would benefit all of us.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else seeking to provide comments from the floor, or is anyone seeking to present written comment? Is anyone seeking to provide comment either way?
I would just like to put, Matt Miller here from CQ, I'd just like to put on the record as far as confusion as to what is currently there as a private at-grade crossing. Are you guys seeking to relocate a private at-grade crossing? Are you looking to go to public? And then some of the jurisdiction issues as far as that being private currently, and then the jurisdiction over it being an easement versus actual, because typically for a public crossing, like a road authority would have jurisdiction over it, but for a private one, the DOT and the local community wouldn't have jurisdiction over it.
That's where we need a little advice from you probably, Matt.
The simplest version of that answer, and again, we know more of this will need to be workshopped out, is it's an improvement to its current situation. Better lines of sight, et cetera. Trevor?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a screen share quickly, Matt, just to reiterate what exactly is proposed. Again, highlighted in red is the existing crossing. What the proposal is to go straight across. This is currently, as you said, the private crossing. Sunset Drive being publicly owned, the concept that the town has discussed with the DOT would be a formal abandonment and closure of the existing crossing and moving it north. So not to have two crossings, but to still at the end of our project have one crossing. As shown here on this image, the existing crossing comes over here. The final project would have one much safer line of sight. As you folks mentioned, safety is the most important thing, and the town of Plattsburgh and this project is primarily concerned with safety because people are using that crossing now. And our goal is absolutely to create a signal armed or whatever other type of crossing makes it the most safe crossing to go straight across at grade and close formally the other crossing. We have full access and the ability to provide easements to any other landowner that was served by that other easement area and private crossing. And to that point, the plans that were developed as schematic plans, that's what is shown in images such like this, it coming straight, crossing over to our waterfront spot. This portion that now goes south would be abandoned and formally closed. So the overall project would be an abandonment, closure, relocation to the north with significant safety improvements.
Yeah, well, the addition of a new public area crossing on the site survey would be invaluable, yeah. And then grade separations are great.
I see no one further in the audience and no one further on the Zoom that we have set up here. So I would seek a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
Bobbin, any further discussion? Seeing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Thomas Wood,
Yes?
Meg Bobbin,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes, we will officially close the public hearing at 6:44 PM. Thank you for everybody's patience as we just got some of the tech stuff. At this, we will continue on with the work session. Are there any committee reports?
Thank you, folks.
Any committee reports?
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I would seek a brief executive session as it relates to certiorari regarding the ongoing pending litigation with Key Bank and Champlain Center Mall. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
Bobbin. We will enter executive session at 6:45 PM. No formal action to be taken tonight. Can I get a roll call quickly?
Mike Cashman,
Yep.
Thomas Wood,
Yes?
Meg Bobbin,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Thank you. I'll give you a chance to shut the camera off.
See you too.
This is like pedestrian crossing?
Primarily, I mean, we don't have a final design, that was, but primarily with the ability to bring people